Hello. I think I finally have gone live. Live always seems to crank at the last minute, but I've been on for almost 20 seconds now. So now my fingers are crossed that people will find me over here on Facebook Live at SCHMETZ Needles. My name is Rhonda Pierce, and I'm spokesperson for SCHMETZ Needles North America. And I'm here live in Chicago. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Cindy Shelley just found me. So glad. Melissa found me. Yay. So I always get so nervous right here at showtime because I really don't have a lot of faith in the technology, or maybe it's just my using the technology. I hit live and or it counts down, but there always seems to be a little quirk or a little bit of a delay. So while we wait for people to show up, I want to thank each of you that have already shown up for being here. And I have to tell you, when I got out of bed this morning, my big question is, what is my hair going to be like today? It's been 11 weeks since I've had a haircut, and although right now I think it looks pretty good here on screen as best I can tell, and finally I'm getting my haircut on Friday, May 29th, after 11 weeks. Normally I get my haircut every 4, maybe sometimes 5 weeks, and I do like short hair, but I kind of like having a little bit more hair here, but it's getting hot. So a few more people are showing up. So yay, I'm glad you found me here. Okay, Rosemary is saying I'm doing great, so I must be broadcasting just fine. And wow, Lucia, I've got from Brazil. Yay, Brazil. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Rhonda Pierce, and I represent SCHMETZ Needles here in North America. Wow, this is the third week for doing my SCHMETZ swim program. Swim for See What I Made. And I have been sewing during this pandemic time. I am working now full time, but while I was home, I was also sewing and for fun, mostly for fun, and I like to share those things with you. So the first week, if you weren't with us, I showed my Thangles Christmas salad quilt that is now hanging in my dining room. That was with the little 1-inch half square triangles, and I really loved putting that together. But that was also a project that seasoned for over 15 years, so I'm really glad to have finished it and have it hanging in my home. Last week, which was week 2, I showed my memorial hearts, and those were made from shirts that my husband used to wear. He died 6 months ago, so I made 6-inch hearts and framed them for his kids and grandkids. So I'm still waiting for some time after this pandemic so I can go visit them and give them to them. So today I'm showing you my boho kimono. And before the pandemic, and actually almost the last trip that I took this year, was to the Great Sewing and Stitchery Expo in Puyallup, Washington. And oh yes, of course I taught classes, ate great foods, lots of friends, and yes, I went shopping. I bought fabric. And one of the fabrics I bought was this wonderful knit from So English. And you can kind of see the colors and the patterns. And this fabric is ever so soft. So what do I do with this fabric? What do I do with this fabric? I first thought about making a dress. And then I was inspired by my friend Annette. Annette Millard from the great Northwest state of Washington. And Annette actually had a fashion show of kimonos that she has made over the years, and I was her model. And I thought, oh yes, a kimono, that would be fantastic. But this is not a traditional kimono. It's in the style of kimono, and I call it my boho kimono. If you want to see pictures of it, I mean, I'm going to show you here today, but if you want to see a picture of me wearing it, I think you can find it over on Facebook, SCHMETZ Needles. Um, um, or you can go to my personal blog, which is Sew More Stitches. Somewhere here I've got a business card, sewmorestitches.com, and you can see pictures of the finished garment and also the stitch outs. 2 nights ago, I actually documented the sewing process and some of my little comments and notions that I used, etc. So let's go ahead and just start with how I made my boho kimono. I used a simplicity pattern, and actually this pattern I had made before using View B without the sleeves, and 2 years ago I used a Shannon fabric, one of their plush fake furs, and made a vest out of this same pattern. So this time I wanted the flow, I wanted the easy opening, and I just thought that this simple pattern would really make the flowers pop on my out of the fabric. So I think I made a good decision. I think I'm going to really love wearing this. And since I did mention Shannon fabrics, that is our gift today. I have this wonderful cozy Shannon fabric, cuddle fabric. You know I love to sew with Shannon fabric. So this is one of the gifts that they gave me, and I will be giving this away later in the program. And how do you get that? Well, I want to know what project you have sewn up and finished during the pandemic. So that's from mid-March until now. What sewing project have you finished? And then my trusty colleague, Paul, who's sitting just at the end of this room in his office, will go into the comment selection and find someone who's answered that question, and we'll select a winner, a random winner. So anyway, back to my kimono. I used a simplicity pattern. This is item 8553. I bought this several years ago. It's probably still available. If not, maybe you can find it online or use a similar pattern. I did not, because the pattern was so large, the flower patterns are so large on here, I did not even try to match, and I don't think that that was a problem. My fabric is from So English. You can find So English, that's SOSEWfabrics.com. They're out of California, and Amanda has a lovely array of fabrics that are available, and she even has pre-cuts available. So other notions that I used, of course I used a SCHMETZ needle. This is a knit fabric, and SCHMETZ needles come in 2 sizes, a 75/11 and a size 90/14. For this project, the fabric is a lighter fabric, so I actually used the SCHMETZ size 75/11. How do you know it's a stretch needle? Yellow indicates stretch, and the rose color indicates size 11 or 75/11. So I used a stretch 75/11, worked perfectly, almost. I actually used a slightly used needle that I had in my stash, in my little My Pad from a previous project. So yes, I had a problem with skipped stitches, and severe skipped stitches. Some of my stitches were skipping almost like an inch or inch and a half. So that skipped stitches are definitely a clue that you need to change your needle. Also, the tension of my stitch was off. So I knew that was another clue to change the needle. So as soon as I put in a fresh needle, then I was just fine. I got nice, clean stitches. So you might keep that in mind. You know, if you have skipped stitches or, you know, funny stitches, or maybe your stitches look kind of wiggly squiggly when you know that you're sewing in a straight line, those are clues that you need to change your needle. Okay, so one of the things I did not like about this pattern was the facings. You know, I cut the facing out as the pattern suggested. This is the back neck facing, and then here's another facing for the front neck. And then I went to add interfacing to it, a fusible interfacing, and I'm thinking, hello, what am I doing? I don't even like these facings, because when you put, I don't like to attach the small facings. And then once you finish the garment, oftentimes when you put the garment on, the facings might flip out unless you've secured it, etc. So one of the things I did differently on this pattern was, instead of using the traditional facings, and it's kind of hard to see, but there's a stitch line here and here. So it has a little bodice. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a bodice here. So actually, I lined the entire front and back upper bodice of this kimono. And I just found it so much easier to sew. Once I put the pieces together, then I did base the raw edges together so it wouldn't slip when I put the sleeves in. And I also used my serger to serge the raw edge of the back facings, or the back bodice. So that worked out really clean, and I'm very happy with that. When I put this on, I've got the nice soft fabric, and it looks good when I step into my boho kimono. So what else did I do? Well, there along the bodice here, there are some soft gathering stitches. And one thing that I've never done before, and I tried it this time, was to zigzag over dental floss to be pulled to create the soft gathers. And I must say that worked brilliantly. Why didn't I ever try that before? You can go to sewmorestitches.com to my blog post from 2 days ago, and you can see the picture of me zigzagging over the dental floss, and then it just pulled through so slick and with nice even gathers. In the past, to make gathers, you know, I've used a twin needle with an elongated stitch and then together, but this dental floss, that worked out beautiful. Another thing, I serged all my edges, so I mean, no surprise there. Oh, and there are pockets here. So I generally don't like pockets because it adds more emphasis to my hips, but I thought because this was so long, it's a dark color and it's patterned, that it wouldn't matter. So I do have little side pockets that I can put my Kleenex in. Now, one of the things I did was I used this straight stay tape on my seams, on my shoulder seams, and also along the hems, just to give a little bit more body to the stitch, so my so the edges wouldn't flip out. So you might consider using straight stay tape, or even a bias stay tape. It just made sewing so much easier. You know, it used to be I would just skip that step, but it really makes a difference, and it makes sewing so much more enjoyable. So I suggest that you do that. Another thing that I did was in my stash, because don't we all have stashes, I found this elastic this elastic tape that I used a couple years ago. I don't remember what I used it for, but I've got a lot left. So I thought, oh my goodness, doesn't that look pretty with this fabric? So even though it's elastic, I actually used it to cover my serged edges, my raw serged edges here along the neckline. I used it to finish off the back where the ties connect to the bodice and the lower part of my kimono. I used the bias tape on to finish the hem of my sleeves. Doesn't that look nice? And then also I used the that elastic to finish off my hems. I just love the color and the pattern. I think it's a nice finish. Also on this kimono, there's a slit on each side. Oh, this is so hard trying to fit everything into the tiny camera screen. But at the top of each slit, I took like a 3-inch loop of tape. I just did like this. I put right sides together. I stitched it. I cut. I turned it inside out, and then I folded it. So now I have like a 1.5 or 2-inch piece of elastic that's stitched together. And then I actually stitched it down at the top of each slit, side slit. So just as a reinforcement, to the slit, because you know I'm wild and crazy. The other thing I did, even though I finished all my edges with the serger, I had already put my hem in the sleeves. So what I did was to finish the serger edge right along the hemline. I did the same thing. I added some of the elastic, and you know, it also secured the loose serger threads. I did run the serger threads up into the seam, but I wanted further assurance that the thread wouldn't slip out. So I stitched down a little elastic tab that really gives a nice little finish to the hem area. Let's see, there you go. There you can see it. So just an extra little touch. So let me see, was there anything else I did special for this? Well, the great thing is I got it finished. You know, this fabric only seasoned for February, March, April, May, June. So for only 3 months. So that was pretty good. And then now when I finish a project, because I've been home sewing during the pandemic, I text my friend Mary from across the street, and she'll come out and she takes pictures of me. And that day there was wind also. You may have seen on Facebook or in my blog that Rita Farrell took this great picture of me trying to put on my kimono on a very windy day when we met in rural Illinois. So now, what was the last touch to this kimono? I think it's a very special touch, and I've just been waiting for the right project. And my sister, a couple years ago, went to Paris with Marcy and Catherine Tilton on one of their Parisian tours. And my sister went to a silk flower manufacturer, and so she brought back some silk flowers for me. So I've got this pinned right here at the opening of my kimono where the tie strings are. So I think that's a nice little touch. And I can remove the flower when I need to wash the kimono because it's just pinned on. So let me look at the time. We've done 23 minutes here. I hope that in the comments that you have commented with what you finished sewing during the pandemic, because Paul will be selecting a name shortly as to who is going to win the Shannon fabric. Paul, do you have a winner? He's bringing a winner now. So here's what the prize is. You get this fabulous cuddle fabric from Shannon Fabrics. I know there was a question before, where do you buy Shannon Fabrics? You can go to shannonfabrics.com or check your local quilt shop. They'll probably... Okay, so Paul's pulled a random winner. Cindy Shelley, Shellly. You are the winner today of the Shannon Fabric Bundle. Now, that's not the only thing in this bundle, because this bundle actually creates a Bubba turtle. Isn't that cute? Now, this is, let's see, it includes the cuddle fabric for front and back. You'll need some other sewing supplies, but isn't this cute? Oh my goodness, yes. Love Shannon Fabrics. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't also include a Gravatt product, and this is the Teal Gravatt magnetic pin cushion. And I will just tell you that when I sew a lot of Shannon Fabrics, I just love it. So the pins that are on the magnetic Gravatt, I also love for sewing on the cuddle fabric. So they're natural partners. These Gravatt pins are 1.5 inches long. They have the oversized head. It's a plastic head, so don't leave your iron on it. They might get disformed, but they shouldn't melt. But I love using the Gravatt pins for my sewing with Shannon Fabrics. All right, and of course I've included needles. When sewing with Shannon Fabrics with their plush fabrics, on this particular item, you'll want the SCHMETZ stretch size 90-14. So I've got the chrome needles here. I also included a fun pack. This is a tin needle costume pack, and this is our one of our newest needle combo packs. So with this pack, you've got universal, stretch, jeans, microtex, and top stitch all in one pack. It's called a costume pack, but you know what? If you sew on a variety of fabrics, these needles will work for you. And then lastly, our ever popular SCHMETZ Super non-stick needle. So anytime you're working with sticky stabilizers, fusible, spray adhesives, vinyl, Velcro, these are your needle of choice. So Cindy Shelley is our winner today. So, oh, okay, I see a comment. Cindy Shelley just made a comment, so that's fantastic. So Cindy, you're going to, I'll send you a message as soon as I'm done here, and you can provide your shipping address and we'll get that out to you. So, my friends, my dear sewing friends, I want to say thank you for being here today with me. I know it's such a crazy time. I call it the gift of time. I've had a lot of time to kind of to rebalance. Of course, my husband died 6 months ago, so I had that to recover from. And will I ever recover? I don't think so. But life is good. I have no complaints. I love my job. I love to sew. I am taking steps to stay healthy, as I hope that you are too. And I give a great big hug to everyone, especially those of you that are sewing masks and surgical garb, etc. Isn't it wonderful how our sewing community has stepped up to serve our communities and our world and our families? So I will return again next week. I haven't quite decided what project to bring. I have several finished projects. So stay tuned. Thanks again for being here, and so SCHMETZ. Bye-bye.